Imagine for a moment that money is not paper, nor numbers, nor mere transactions. Imagine that money is a spirit, a living entity that responds not to blind effort, but to conscious will. That manifests not from scarcity, but from magic. Welcome to Magical Money, the Embodied Spirit, a text inspired by the most provocative and hidden ideas of the visionary Aleister Crowley, the magician who defied kings, religions, and rules to reveal that all true power begins in the mind and projects outward into the universe. This is not a text about saving, it is not a financial course, it is an invocation, a call to awaken your magical nature, to understand that wealth is not something you get, it's something you embody. Here, you will discover that money is an energetic force, shaped by symbols, rituals, intention, and faith. You'll learn to dismantle the mental structures that taught you abundance was someone else's privilege and rewrite your pact with the spirit of gold. This text is not for those who want just a little more. It's for those ready to make money a magical ally, for those unafraid to take the reins of the spirit that moves empires. If you felt abundance circling you, but never staying, if you're ready to stop chasing money and start invoking it, then prepare yourself, because the spirit of money is already here, and it's waiting for you to call it by its true name. Let's begin. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I return not as a revived myth, nor as a ceremonial spectre of an extinguished lodge, but as the echo that refuses to silence itself in the soul of the man who no longer wishes to obey. I return not because you have invoked me with incense and candles, nor because you have traced my sign in some trembling circle. I return because the beast awakens where there is fire, and you burn. You burn with questions unanswered, with hunger that is not satisfied by prayers or the decrees of spiritual supermarkets. I return because the world has confused gold with sin and desire with weakness. And that, my dear reader, is something even the sleepiest of gods cannot forgive. This is not a book about money. It is a book about power, and where there is power, there is danger. Where there is danger, there is initiation. The gold you touch with guilt controls you. The gold you invoke with certainty serves you. Here lies the root of this grimoire. Gold is not profane. It is spiritual. Not because a closed verse says so, nor because a patriarch with fingers stained by poverty blesses it. It is spiritual because it is a pure condensation of will, and will, as you should already know, is the only thing that matters. Who am I to write this? I am you when you stop lying to yourself. I am the shadow you have exorcised 1,000 times, yet it still visits you in dreams. I am the beast, yes, but I am also the mirror, the one who came to break your chains with words like whips. Not to free you, that you do yourself, but to show you that you have always been free. Free from begging for spirituality from the saintly beggars. Free from chaining yourself to the false dichotomy between soul and wealth. Free from continuing to believe that the divine is divorced from the tangible. Money, that modern golem you worship and curse with equal hysteria, is neither dirty nor clean, neither good nor bad. It is obedient. Money does not corrupt, it reveals. And if it reveals your misery, your anxiety, your meanness, do not blame it. The bill is merely the mirror. Did the saints of your temples tell you this? Of course not, because they fear you know. They fear you realize that you can have it all and still remain divine. They fear you no longer need their guilt, their vows of poverty, or their moral lessons for slaves. This entire system, the spiritual, the political, the familial, is designed so that you do not take the throne. They tell you money is not important, yet they work for it 12 hours a day. They tell you humility is a virtue, yet they prostitute themselves emotionally for approval. They tell you desire is impure, but every tear they've shed was born from an unsatisfied one. Hypocrisy is not having gold. Hypocrisy is desiring it and pretending not to. This book will not tolerate that lukewarmness. This book is not a tourist guide through the lands of the soul. It is a rite of passage, a seal, an invocation. Every word written here has been birthed with fire. I do not write to comfort you. I write to ignite you. I do not come to tell you that you can do it. I come to remind you that you already are. You are the throne, you are the temple, you are the gold. And if you still doubt, do not continue reading. This is not a text for fragile minds or egos needing approval. This book is a curse for slaves and a blessing for kings. A grimoire that walks with you like a sleeping demon under your tongue, that whispers in your ear whenever you act without intent, that laughs at you when you repeat affirmations without vibration. that roars when you have what you want in the name of a good you don't even understand. You will have to kill yourself to be reborn, not once but many times. You will have to look at yourself naked in the mirror of gold and accept what you see. Your fear of power, your guilt for desire, your hatred for those who dared. This is not a path to abundance. This is a process of remembering that you have always had it and rejected it out of fear of being free. If you do not understand this, this book is not for you. But if something in your chest begins to beat like an ancient drum, if your gaze sharpens, if your back straightens, if your hands burn to touch the world and claim it as your own, then welcome. You have reached the threshold. What follows are not chapters, they are seals. Each will open a secret chamber that you sealed yourself with vows, traumas, and inherited words that no longer serve you. Each one is an act of magic, not literary but initiatory. Not to convince you but to activate you, not to help you but to remind you, not to teach you how to make money, but to destroy everything that keeps you from commanding it. The return of the beast is neither prophecy nor spectacle. It is the awakened consciousness that refuses to fear. And you are about to awaken. Each page will be a mirror, each paragraph a decree, each word an incantation. Are you ready? Truly do you swear by your inner gold, then enter. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Magical money, embodied spirit, based on the teachings of Aleister Crowley. We have noticed that over 80% of those who visit our channel are not subscribed. You can support this project by pressing the subscribe button and liking the video. Thank you for inspiring us to keep creating more and better content for you. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1, The Taboo of Gold. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. The first demon was not Lucifer, it was gold. Not because it shone in the hands of the fallen, but because it shone in the hearts of those who desired it, without daring to confess it. Since then, every time a weak mind contemplates a fortune, it trembles, not from greed, which is natural and useful in the awakened animal, but from guilt. That sickness, cultivated with devotion by the temples of resignation. Gold smells of sulfur for those raised in the stable of obedience. Its shine terrifies more than truth to those who still believe that poverty is a virtue. Humanity has not been enchanted by a wizard, but by the priest, not by the magician, but by morality. From the first breath, the slave is instructed to fear power, and there is no power more immediate, more absolute, more burning in this plane than money. Money is not a tool, it is a manifestation. It is not a means, it is a messenger, a silent spirit that reveals with surgical precision the state of your soul. And here begins the tragedy of those who believe themselves pure because they don't have it. They have not been purified. They have been neutralized. He who despises gold despises his own reflection, for gold does not show what you want, it shows what you are. The morality of the poor in spirit, that plague of the ages, has wrapped gold in chains of hypocritical disdain. Money doesn't bring happiness, say those who don't know what happiness is. The rich are corrupt, shout those who would sell their conscience for 10 coins if they weren't afraid of being discovered. Spirituality doesn't need wealth, they repeat. Those who have never experienced any spirituality other than that preached from scarcity, from guilt, from the negation of the body and will. But I tell you, no adept has flourished in lack. No initiate has shone from impotence. Greatness needs form, and form requires power. And power is always manifested in wealth. The soul, if it is alive, demands expansion not from greed but from nature. The universe itself expands as you dare to contract. Every cell in your body longs for more light, more energy, more experience, more freedom. And yet, you have grown accustomed to silencing that desire, to disguising it as, I don't need much, to locking it under mantras that don't resonate, affirmations that don't decree, dogmas that mutilate. You've confused humility with amputation, and so you walk like a breathing corpse, repeating that matter is a trap while you die to touch it. But gold does not pity, gold does not console, gold does not reward prayers, gold does not fall by divine grace. Gold, like all ancient deities, demands sacrifice of your lies, of your invisible vows of poverty, of your existential comfort, of your devotion to failure. Observe closely. Everything in your life has taught you to fear money. School ignored it, religion cursed it, family turned it into a taboo. It wasn't talked about at the table. No one asked how much the others earned. No one taught you how to create it, only how to survive with little. Money was a shadow, a threat, a promise of corruption. And you, fire child trapped in the skin of a servant, were indoctrinated to renounce, to say, "I don't need much," to condemn those who have more, to applaud those who live with just enough, to venerate the monk and despise the merchant. But the monk without gold must beg, and the merchant with conscience can build temples. It's a lie, a colossal lie that has been etched into the DNA of your people. Gold is not the enemy of the soul, it is its mirror, its thermometer, its cry for freedom or its chain of shame. If when you have money you feel dirty, it is not the money, it is your programming. I did not come to bless your morality, I came to dynamite it. And if you feel that these words burn, it is because you are gunpowder. Because within you the spark has not yet died, because despite everything you desire, and desire is sacred. The slave morality has made you believe that desire is impure, but without desire, there is no universe. Without desire, there is no art, no magic, no creation. Everything that breathes in this world is the result of desire. The first word that moved chaos was a desire, and the first God was a desirer. The taboo of gold is a spell, one that must be broken, not with logic, but with fire. Not with arguments, but with embodied truth. Not with reading, but with action. You must look at gold as one looks at an ancient enemy in an act of sovereignty. Declare, "You no longer dominate me, now you serve me." Because yes, gold can serve. It can build hospitals, it can feed empires, it can sustain revolutions, it can fund temples and liberate nations. But it only does so when commanded, not begged, not manipulated, not feared. Many have tried to reconcile gold with spirituality as if they were opposing forces. Poor fools. True spirituality is not renunciation, it is mastery, and mastery includes matter. He who cannot govern his money cannot govern himself. He who fears wealth fears his own expansion. He who condemns gold condemns his own divine spark. I reveal it to you now without masks. Poverty is not virtue, it is programming. It is consented amputation. It is the result of a spell that has been circulating through your lineage, your blood, your thoughts for centuries. And that spell ends here on this page in this moment. Look at gold, not as a slave, not as a worshipper. Look at it as a king looks at his sword, with respect, with intention, with sovereignty. Gold, like all swords, does not decide, it executes. And if your will is clear, if your throne is firm, if your word has been sealed with fire, then gold will be a tool, an ally, a witness, and accomplice of your reign. But if you still don't fear, if you still don't despise, if you still think it is dirty or impure or unnecessary, then close this book. Return to your prayers, return to your church, return to your misery disguised as enlightenment, because this book, like the gold it invokes, does not forgive the lukewarm. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 2. The soul of metal. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. There is no matter without spirit. There is no metal that does not dream. There is no mute stone nor dead atom. Everything that exists vibrates. Everything that shines lives. Everything that is touched responds. Only the blind, trained by a soulless science and a bodiless religion, can claim that gold is merely a metal. The initiate, on the other hand, knows gold is a consciousness, a mineral spirit, a subtle intelligence dormant, waiting to be awakened by a will that does not tremble. Gold is older than your temples, than your gods, than your books. Gold has flowed through empires, through the hands of kings and assassins, through the tongues of traitors and prophets, through the wombs of goddesses and the breasts of merchants. Gold has been witness to pacts, oaths, wars and betrayals, visions and coronations. There is no metal more laden with history, more saturated with human energy, more dense in vibrational memory. That is why, when one touches gold, one touches an archive, a library, a coded astral field. But that is not taught by academia. That is whispered by silence when an initiate consecrates a coin under the moon. That is revealed by the spirit when the mage places a bar of gold in the center of the circle and gazes at it until it answers. Yes, gold responds, not with words, but with presence, not with concepts, but with vibration. Gold does not speak, but it reveals. It has no tongue, but it has fire. And when that fire is lit, it does not go out without transforming. What does this mean? That money is not neutral, that it is not just a means of exchange, that it is not a fiction, that it is not a human invention without soul. That is the greatest lie of the modern system, that money is a collective illusion without substance, that it is paper, that it is numbers, that it is code. But the hidden truth, the one that will never be published by economists or prosperity gurus with their white teeth, is that money, when consecrated, when awakened, when sealed with intention, becomes a sacred elemental, a living force, a spiritual servant to those who know how to command. The soul of metal, like any soul, demands respect, demands ritual, demands word. It does not awaken with greed. It is not manipulated by anxiety. It is not sullied by falsehood. Gold does not allow itself to be bought by the unworthy. It may enter their hands, yes, but as a witness, not as a servant. And if you are not worthy, if you have not purified your thoughts, your emotions, your word, then gold will watch you as a lion watches a mouse, with indifference at first, with judgment later. This is the alchemical principle. Everything that has form contains spirit. True alchemy did not seek to turn lead into gold out of greed, but because they knew that gold is a symbol of perfection. It is the flesh of the sun. It is the incorruptible substance. It is the matter that does not age, that does not rust, that does not rot. It is the tangible proof that the eternal can incarnate. And whoever achieves that transmutation in themselves, who turns their ego into essence, their fear into fire, their shadow into word, also becomes gold. And then the external gold recognizes them, follows them, serves them. You are not separate from gold. You contain it, you call it, you reject it, you invoke it or repel it, not by your conscious thoughts, but by your total frequency, by the vibrational state you emit when you come into contact with money, when you pay, when you receive, when you speak of wealth, when you see a coin on the ground, when you imagine a fortune. What do you feel? Desire, pride, fear? Every emotion is an offering, every word a seal, every act a conjuration. And gold records them all because it is alive. I will repeat it. Gold is alive, and if it is alive, it has a soul. And if it has a soul, it can be awakened. And if it can be awakened, it can be commanded. But to command it, you must first recognize its status. It is not your master, but neither is it your slave. It is your potential servant. It is a sleeping spirit waiting to be named by its rightful master. And that master is not the one who desires most, nor the one who needs most, nor the one who studies most. It is the one who vibrates the most, who burns the most, who remembers the most. And how is the soul of metal awakened? With what words? With what rituals? I will not give you recipes, not because they don't exist, but because they do not serve without fire. What matters is not the ritual, but the state from which you perform it. You may use a candle or a sword, a stone or a word, but if you are not ignited from within, if your intention has not been sealed by your word, if your desire is not aligned with your will, then gold will observe you and depart as a wild beast does when confronted with an impostor. Start by consecrating every coin, every bill, every transaction, not as superstition, but as an act of magic. Look at money as you would a talisman. Touch it as one touches an oracle. Speak to it. Address it, command it, wake it up. Not as though you were stealing from a god, but as one who remembers their sacred servant who has been asleep for too long. Place a coin under your pillow for 13 nights. Speak to it each night. Do not ask. Declare, do not beg, and command. Do not imagine. Remember. Say, I am the one who commands. You are my mirror. Wherever I go, you will follow me. And then observe how it responds, because it will respond not with miracles, but with movement, with symbols, with signs, with opportunities you will not be able to explain or reject, because gold, when awakened, does not sleep again. And when that happens, do not kneel, do not worship, do not become vain. Recognize it for what it is, an extension of your fire, a part of your kingdom, a sword ready to execute, an ally, a reflection, a consequence. There is no matter without spirit. Money, feared by the poor in spirit, is one of the purest forms of spirit in matter. It is a god chained, waiting to be invoked, and you, if you do not master it, will be its slave. But if you awaken it, if you seal it, if you consecrate it, if you command it with a fiery word and a clear heart, then it will bow before you as angels bow before the word of God. And you will no longer be a beggar or a magician. You will be sovereign. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 3, the mirror of abundance. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Everything you possess is but the echo of what you have already accepted within. Everything that is lacking in your life is not absent by accident, but by an unspoken internal decree. There is no chance in the realm of spirit, no injustice in the temple of the soul. There are only mirrors, and the most unforgiving of them is money. No, not what you yearn for, not what you beg for through tears, not what you affirm with empty phrases spoken in the bathroom mirror. What you have, what you maintain, what manifests again and again as a pattern, as fate, as apparent condemnation. That is your mirror, the reflection of your deepest, most ancient vibration. Abundance is not what you desire, it is what you believe you deserve. And here, if you have courage, if you can hold the gaze without turning away, you will begin to see that gold is not a goal, but a reflection. It is not an end, but a symptom, not a target, but a consequence. There is no such thing as bad luck, bad karma, or external blockages. There is unresolved vibration. There is unhealed incoherence. There are lies whispered by your wounded self that still govern your kingdom. For you do not attract what you ask for, you attract what you are. You attract what resonates with your hidden core. And that core, if it still doubts its right to reign, if it still carries the mark of guilt, if it still murmurs invisible vows of poverty disguised as virtue, will be rejected by abundance as a reversed magnet repels its equal. It is not punishment, it is law. You have been trained to desire without holding. You have been indoctrinated to ask without accepting. You have been molded to vibrate one thing and say another. To want wealth with words but vibrate scarcity with your body. To write goals and decrees while your chest beats with the fear of not deserving them. And you think gold doesn't notice? You think the universe is confused? Let me tell you a secret. Gold does not respond to your words. It responds to your frequency. And frequency cannot be lied to, cannot be faked, cannot be acted. It simply is. So if gold pulls away from you, if it comes and vanishes, if it presents itself or hides, it is not playing with you. It is reflecting exactly what you do not want to see. Your inner incoherence, your hidden fear, your subtle rejection of what you claim to desire. Most want to be rich, but only a few are willing to see what wealth would show them about themselves. For abundance does not lie. It will present you with your true image, without filters, without adornments, without masks. Do you want to know how much you love yourself? Observe how much you allow in. Do you want to know how much inner security you have? Observe how much you hold without sabotaging yourself. Do you want to know if you have healed your past? Observe how free you are to receive without guilt. The mirror of abundance is brutal because it reflects not what you think you are, but what you truly are in the hidden hallways of your consciousness. And for many, that is unbearable. That is why they run from gold. That is why they despise it. That is why they say it's not that important. Because they sense that gold, if it arrived in its fullness, would destroy all their excuses, all their refuges, all the justifications they have used to avoid shining. Because gold reveals and revealing hurts. Gold illuminates, and the light offends those who have made drama their home. Look at your life. Look at it truly. How many times have you stepped away from an opportunity you desired? How many times have you pretended not to need what you secretly longed for? How many times have you sabotaged your own income out of fear of standing out, of being judged, of losing love, of leaving behind your loved ones? Each of those times was a spell, an unconscious incantation, a vibrational command you issued without words. I do not deserve it. And the obedient universe responded, you have been lied to. Humility is not having little. It is not pretending, not lowering yourself to fit in, not disguising desire as sin, not hiding your brilliance to avoid disturbing the mediocre. That is true sacred humility, to be you without mask, without fear, without excuses, for there is no greater arrogance than denying the gift you have been given. And gold, that gift, is not given to the beggar disguised as a mystic. You do not need to work harder. You do not need to do more. You do not need to ask more. You need to accept, inhabit, embody, to become the channel through which abundance flows, and that is not achieved by fighting, it is achieved by purging. Cleanse your temple, break your vows with scarcity, revoke your promises of lack. Forgive your parents, your teachers, the blind prophets who taught you that wanting is wrong, that having is dangerous, that desiring is sinful. Bid them farewell with gratitude. And then look at yourself again. Look at gold in your hands as if it were your reflection, because it is. And then, only then, the mirror will begin to change because you have changed. And the universe, always exact, always punctual, always mathematically obedient, will do its part, reflecting with divine precision the new image of your soul. An image that no longer fears receiving, that no longer rejects its light, that no longer apologizes for shining. Abundance is not a promise, it is a mirror. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 4. Money as will. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Each era gives birth to its own God, not because the absolute mutilates its unity, but because the consciousness of man requires masks to withstand the splendor of the ineffable. And so the one fragment takes shape, descends as an archetype to inhabit the altar of the ages. Yah was the god of fear, Buddha the god of renunciation, Christ the god of sacrifice, all necessary, all true in their hour, all instruments of time. But that hour has passed, for this is not the time of penitence but of kings. It is not the time of martyrs but of creators. It is not the time for prayers but for decrees. The new God does not arise from the cross, but from the throne. It does not bleed, it commands. It does not promise heavens, it manifests empires. And the God of this time, although no one dares name it without scandal, is money. Not as idolatry, not as currency, not as accounting, but as the archetypal avatar of conscious power. Money is the new face of the living God, not because it has replaced the old ones, but because it has absorbed them, because it embodies in its flow, its form, its force, all that the ancient gods barely suggested. It is creator, destroyer, multiplier, mirror, reward, and punishment. It is law operating without morality. It is immediate flesh. It is the materialized word, and you do not need to believe in it for it to act. Like all real gods, it operates even if you deny it. Like a deed, it is the point without extension. Like Ryorquid, it burns with the fury of the sun and the coldness of the sword. Like Nuip, it contains all but is possessed by none. You tremble at this statement, don't you? You feel a subtle discomfort, a vibrational resistance. You've been taught that saying money is God is heresy. You've been conditioned to believe that the divine can only manifest as silence, as light, as immaterial ecstasy. But I tell you this from the throne of undiluted truth. The divine energy has incarnated in the coin, in the figure, in the contract, in the conscious financial act. And what is more divine than a force that responds without judgment, that acts according to vibrational deserving, that creates without permission? You have searched for God in temples, in sacred texts, in gurus of white robes and smiles without fire, and the real God has been dancing all along in the markets, in investments, in the relentless logic of abundance. You've knelt before the void while denying the divinity that vibrates in each transaction made with presence. Do not confuse this with greed. Do not confuse this with idolizing the object. I do not write for the bankers in ties. They are asleep too. The initiate does not worship money. He recognizes it. He does not chase it. He invokes it. He does not accumulate it. He consecrates it. Because he knows that it is not money itself that is sacred, but what it represents, the crystallized will, the intention made form, the verb incarnate in figures. And you, if you dare to read without filters, without dogmas, without the lenses of slave morality, will see that it is so. Money is the god of this eon, because only it allows action, only it reveals the internal structure, only it responds with surgical precision to the vibration of those who handle it. An angel asleep in the vaults, a spirit that obeys without judgment, a power that does not negotiate with guilt or pity, a force that says, I am for the one who dares. The ancient temple's empty because the fire is no longer there, the incense no longer burns, the choir no longer sings, the blood no longer vibrates. But there are new altars, the awakened minds. There are new rituals, the conscious investments. There are new offerings, the impeccable use of economic power. And there are new priests, those who have stopped fearing gold and have begun to rule it as rightful heirs of the fire. Will you be one of them? Or will you continue fearing the name of the new God? Will you keep repeating chants of renunciation while begging a universe that has already given you the key? I will not ask you again. This chapter is the consecration. Here the word becomes decree. Here the nostalgia for the dead gods burns in the bonfire of awakening. Here the initiate looks at money not as a thing, not as sin, not as an enemy, but as what it always was, a mirror, and says to himself, "If this is me, then this is what I have come to rule." Because money as an eon does not tolerate lukewarmness, it does not accept ambivalence, it does not respond to the one who loves it in secret and curses it in public, it does not serve the one who desires it with guilt, nor the one who uses it with shame. It is a god without a face but with weight, without a creed but with power, without a temple but with presence. And you are called to be its priest, not to worship it but to direct it, not to ask it but to use it, not to surrender but to reign. Because the new heron does not need martyrs, it needs kings, and money as its avatar will not be a prize but a test. It will not be a reward but an extension of your fire. It will not be a privilege but a confirmation that you are already who you must be. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 5, The Forging of Will. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Desire is a whisper, will is a roar, desire caresses, will commands, desire dreams, will creates. You have been instructed by false teachers and by the echo of sleeping generations to wish like a beggar, to yearn with the tepid hope of the child waiting for the favor of a stern father, to project your dreams like prayers suspended in the limbo of the uncertain. But I, the incarnate beast, come to remind you that the universe does not respond to desire. It responds to will. Will is not desire with muscle, it is a completely different substance. Desire is natural and therefore useful, but will is supernatural and therefore divine. It does not arise from the ego or emotional whim. It springs from the incandescent core of the soul. Will does not need motives. It is the motive. It does not need validation. It is the law. It does not ask permission. It does not wait for the right moment. It is the moment. And your question is, do you want gold, freedom, expansion? You have cultivated your will, or are you still wishing without structure, without verb, without flame? Have you forged yourself, or do you simply repeat affirmations, hoping the world will be moved by your superficial enthusiasm? Because I reveal it to you now with fire. Gold does not come to the one who desires. It comes to the one who commands, and no one can command without having been forged. What does it mean to be forged? It means to pass through the crucible of the self, to burn away all that you are not, to melt your fears, your doubts, your borrowed beliefs, to hammer your character until there is no quiver in your word, to melt your personal history, your excuses, your justifications, until only a solid, clear, indivisible vibratory structure remains, your true will. The forging is not a comfortable process. It is not for everyone. It is not done over a weekend. It is not taught in motivational seminars. It is a brutal alchemy that demands blood, renunciation, and truth. Because every time you lie about who you are, you delay your gold. Every time you hide to avoid discomfort, you surrender your scepter. Every time you choose the safe path, your inner fire dims just a little more until only ashes remain. And in ashes, gold does not bloom. The initiated, the true one, does not desire like a child, nor wait like a devotee. He decides, and what he decides, he executes, and what he executes, he sustains, because he knows his word is the seal, his action is the hammer, his perseverance is the forge where the gods sharpen their swords. You want to attract money, but can you hold it without trembling? Can you receive it without sabotaging it? Can you use it without being possessed by it? Because if you cannot, you are not yet ready. The universe does not punish, it protects. It protects money from the hands of the unworthy, the unstable, the inconsistent. It protects gold from those who have not yet sealed their throne. To forge the will is to build that throne, not with passive meditation, but with active decision. Every choice you make is a stone. Every no you pronounce to what no longer vibrates with you is a chisel. Every yes you give to what burns in your soul is a consecration. This is how it is forged. This is how it is built. This is how you reign. Fire, hammer, purpose. The fire is your naked passion, not the emotional hysteria of desperate desire, but the calm ardor of one who knows who he is before having anything. The hammer is the constant action, the discipline, the ritualized execution of your vision. And the purpose is your internal verb, your why without fracture, your divine cause that sustains you even when everything seems to crumble. If any of these three is missing, there is no forging. And without forging, there is no will. And without will, all that you attract will be ephemeral, fragile, hollow. I, as Aleister Crowley, have seen thousands fall into the trap of unforged desire. They have read books, repeated mantras, dreamed of mansions and freedoms, and ended up broken, not because the universe has punished them, but because they never transmuted desire into will, because they never crossed the abyss, because they never dared to die to rebirth. And there is no gold without death. You must kill your version of I, kill your inherited identity, kill your need for approval, kill your religion of scarcity, kill your slave morality, kill even your dreams if they have not been consecrated by your will. Only then, among the smouldering bones of who you were, can the new structure arise, the structure of the master. For gold does not serve children, it serves kings, and kings are not born, they are forged. This chapter is not a teaching, it is an order, a sword delivered into your hands. Will you wield it or fear it? Will you forge yourself or justify yourself? You will say, I can, or I am. The answer will mark the rest of your existence, and no, you do not need to know how. The how is the domain of the servants. The king simply is, and the gold comes. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 6. The Ritual of Possession. Make your will be the whole law. To possess is not to have. Having is a circumstance. Possessing is essence. The slave may have gold and still tremble from hunger. The beggar may stumble upon a fortune and still die of fear. Having depends on the external. Contracts, inheritances, luck, opportunity. Possessing comes from within, from the vibrant core of the self that has crowned itself without the need for applause. He who possesses without having is already a king. He who has without possessing is still a beggar with jewels. This chapter will not teach you how to acquire. It will remind you that you are the source. Because everything you seek in the physical plane, the money, the success, the freedom, the gold, is not attained, it is embodied. Gold is not obtained, it emanates. It is not conquered, it is sustained. It is not hoarded, it is consecrated. The ritual of possessing begins in the darkness, not in the shadow of lack, but in the deep silence of the being who has stopped begging, the one who no longer asks, the one who no longer bargains with the universe like a shopper in a mundane market, the one who has burned all his contracts with spiritual poverty and assumed his crown without applause or witnesses, because true possession is invisible. You have a sum in the bank. It doesn't matter if you don't recognize yourself as a channel, as an altar, as a king, then that sum does not belong to you. It possesses you. You don't have a cent. That doesn't matter either. If you have already consecrated your inner temple, if you have sealed with fire the certainty that gold is you, then the entire world will be forced to respond to that frequency. Because it's not about having, it's about being what has. And how does one enter this state? Not with prayer, not with fantasy, not with fragile affirmations like fairground glass. You enter with ritual, and that ritual is not external. There are no candles, no background music, no obligatory incense. The only altar is your chest. The only sacred oil is your breath. The only verb is the one you pronounce when no one is listening. Close your eyes, not to imagine but to remember, because you were already gold before you touched flesh. You already vibrated in abundance before you learned to fear it. And the world cannot give you anything that you haven't decreed from that secret core that beats behind your name, behind your mask, behind your story. It's not about attracting wealth. That's for those who still believe that gold is far away. It's about igniting it from within until the world has no choice but to reflect it. Visualize, yes, but not as someone begging for visions. Visualize as someone tracing geometries, as someone designing altars of reality with each sustained thought. Feel the weight of gold on your skin. Feel the aroma of success, the texture of freedom, but not as the future. Feel it as now, because eternity is not built with hope, it is inhabited with certainty. The ritual of possessing does not occur in time. It is timeless. It is a sacrament that takes place outside personal history, beyond calendars and clocks. You perform it each time you speak from abundance, and not from need. Each time you choose not to justify yourself for wanting more. Each time you stop with gratitude instead of guilt. Each time you receive without fearing loss. Each time you walk, as if everything were already yours, not from arrogance, but because you have remembered that nothing is outside of you. Now you understand why so many fail in their search for gold, because they seek to have without having possessed. They want external results without having sealed their inner throne. They desire anxiously but do not rule with presence. And the universe, always just, always cold, always precise, does not respond to desires. It responds to kings. Abundance is not given, it is reflected. And the mirror of the world is cruel to impostors. If within you there are still fragments that doubt, that fear, that reject the possibility of truly being rich, then the world will manifest poverty, not as punishment but as confirmation. That is why this ritual is not decoration. It is structure, it is alchemy, it is geometry. It is not something you do once and forget. It is something you are constantly. Because the ritual of possessing does not conclude, it becomes a way of life. Do not ask for more, possess more, do not seek to have. Affirm to be, do not dream of freedom. Walk as one who already embodies it. When the gold comes, and it will if your throne has been sealed with pure fire, you will not be surprised. You will not shout thanks to the heavens like a slave who has received a charity. You will smile in silence with the majesty of one who had already confirmed long before seeing that everything belongs to him. Because gold does not respond to those who wait, it responds to those who declare. And it does not do so out of whim, it does so because it is law. Make your will be the whole law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 7, Financial Magic. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Gold is not earned, it is invoked. Money is not worked for, it is directed. Wealth is not accumulated, it is manifested. These words, which strike the accountants of the world and scandalize the clerics of effort, are the prologue of a new grimoire. For this chapter is not theory, it is ritual. It is not philosophy, it is fire. It is not economics, it is magic. Not the magic domesticated by academics, nor prostituted by charlatans, but the closed art of command, the science of will applied to matter and money, that brilliant fluid that all desire but few understand. Today, it is its most precise application. Welcome, then, to financial magic, the forbidden art of commanding the economic flow with word, vibration, and will. What follows cannot be learned with degrees. It is not taught in seminars. It is not inherited. It is revealed, remembered, activated in the marrow of the initiate, when fear has been eradicated and desire has been transmuted into decree. The first axiom of this art is simple. Money is ancient energy. What does this mean? That every coin, every bill, is a charged symbol, an object of power, a fragment of dormant consciousness waiting to be commanded. Money responds not to your merits, but to your vibration, not to your history, but to your certainty, not to your good deeds, but to your mastery. And like all energy, it can be conjured, directed, expanded. And how is this done? With ritual, with fiery word, with aligned action, with a clear mind, with the body as temple. For the financial flow, that invisible river that runs through all spheres of the modern world is not random. It is ritual, it is esoteric, it is magnetic. You do not earn money, you become a channel for it. You attract it or repel it according to your degree of coherence between word and vibration. Everything else, banks, corporations, markets, are merely stages. The true magician operates from the hidden plane. Financial magic consists of 3 operational levels: mental, emotional, and physical. The mental level is the altar of your thoughts. There, the mother frequency of your economic flow is imprinted. If your thoughts are contradictory, if you want wealth but believe it is dangerous, if you desire abundance but have been told it corrupts, then you are conjuring chaos. The first step of the magician is to cleanse that altar, to identify and eradicate parasitic thoughts, to declare every morning that your mind is an astral bank and every idea is an investment. Your thoughts are the invisible contracts the universe signs. You are hiring wealth or debt. The emotional level is the cauldron. Here the fuel is brewed that activates or quells your spells. For thought without emotion is dead letters. But a powerful, sustained, ritualized emotion is vibrational dynamite. Feel the money before you see it. Celebrate every figure as one celebrates the arrival of a lover. Thank with the body, not with the mouth. Your emotional field must be a hymn of anticipatory gratitude. Do not beg the universe, seduce it with presence. Make desire a dance, not a plea. The physical level is the temple. Your actions are seals. Your gestures are commands. The initiate does not beg for money, he consecrates it. He does not invest out of greed, he does it out of alienation. Every transaction is a ceremony, every choice of consumption is a spell. Pay with presence, collect with dignity. Use your body as a channel for energy, not as a slave to lack. Bless every coin that enters and every coin that exits. Prosperity is not in what you receive, but in what you do with what you hold. Ritualize everything. Repeat after me. Everything is ritual. Your desk should be an altar, your wallet a reliquary. Your hands, magic wands invoking flow. Form is secondary, intention is sacred. You can trace sigils on bills. You can program crystals with your word and leave them beside your financial documents. You can name your bank accounts as if they were astral servers. Expansion account, purpose account, temple account. Every assigned word is an order. Every gesture imbued with internal fire is a command. And above all, the most feared by the mediocre, give but not as charity. Give as an act of expansion. Give as one who knows that energy that does not circulate rots. Give as one who no longer clings, because he is the source and not the vessel. Give with direction, not at random. Not everything deserves your gold. But when your gold flows with intention, the universe responds with multiplication. There is no more effective formula than this. Receive with joy, use with power, give with awareness. This is the trident of financial magic, the operational triangle, the secret pyramid of the new art. It is not accumulation, but conscious circulation. The initiate does not want money to hide it. He wants it to organize it, to govern it, to transform it into structured freedom. And why is all this so feared? Because the true initiate is no longer manipulable. Because gold in the hands of the awakened is dynamite for the system. Because a magician with resources is a god incarnate, and free gods are the death of the flock. You have been told that money is not spiritual, that it is dirty. Dear one, I tell you, money is closed when directed by an awakened will. Gold does not corrupt, it reveals, it does not enslave, it amplifies. And if your soul is pure, your gold will be light. And if your soul is shadow, your gold will be a blade. But the guilty party is never the metal, it is you. So here ends ignorance, here begins the art. Invoke, use, expand. Become the priest of your inner economy, not as a technician, not as a merchant, but as a magician, an alchemist, a god. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 8. The mind as the astral bank. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Gold is not born in mines, nor melted in furnaces, nor printed on bills, nor programmed in computers. The true gold, the one that remains, the one that builds empires, the one that obeys the incarnate gods, is first imprinted in the most secret plane of the universe, your mind. Yes, reader who still doubts, your mind is an astral bank, not as a metaphor, nor as esoteric poetry, but as precise, mathematical, infallible vibratory architecture. There, in that invisible space, not subject to the laws of time or physics, are designed the structures of your wealth or your ruin. There lie your true accounts, those of intention, certainty, memory, and will. Everything you have or don't have was printed first. It wasn't random, it wasn't blind karma, it wasn't someone else's will. It was your invisible signature. It was your seal. It was your most ancient incantation. It was you. Does this truth unsettle you? It should. Because if you created your poverty, you can also create your abundance. If you signed your limits, you can revoke them. If you imprinted lack into your inner being, you can now set fire to that contract and issue a new decree. For the astral bank is not sealed, it is alive, it is open, awaiting your command as a king. This is not a loose thought. It is a magical structure, a generative matrix, a temple where each image is an order, and every emotion, the ink that seals the decree. What images circulate through your astral bank? What thoughts do you repeat without vigilance? What emotions do you sustain as anthems of your day? Most people unknowingly imprint ruin. They rise with fear, eat with guilt, sleep with anxiety. Every thought they entertain says, "It's hard, it's not enough, I can't. Another can, but not me." It's an order signed to the universe. It's a promissory note of scarcity. It's a promise of self-inflicted poverty. And the universe, that unyielding scribe, obeys. It delivers what was requested. It deposits what was printed. It returns with absolute precision the vibration that was emitted. But you are not here to follow that path. You've arrived at this page because your inner word no longer tolerates the lie of impotence. Because your fire has already burned the contracts with victimhood. Because your soul, even in silence, has shouted enough. So listen and engrave this into your being. Wealth is imprinted in the mind as a bill is printed in the sacred machine of your inner state. How is this done? First with image, not with desire, not with daydreaming, but with sharp closed geometry. Visualization as an architect, not as a beggar. It's not about seeing what you want to have. It's about contemplating what you already are in another plane. You don't create abundance. You allow it, you call it, you remember it. Visualize figures, landscapes, gestures, contracts, dialogues, and do so with the precision of a sculptor. Every line is an order, every shadow a variable, every stroke a decision. Second, with emotion. Without emotion, there is no ink. Without emotion, there is no activation. Emotion is what powers the sigil. It's what turns an image into a decree. But not any emotion. Emotions must be consecrated, not anxiety, not desperation. Certainty, gratitude in advance, joy without object, fullness without need. For the astral bank doesn't respond to whim. It responds to alignment. Third, with repetition. One moment of clarity is not enough. The temple needs to be inhabited. The altar must be lit every day. The vault sealed with frequency. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Not as a robot, but as a priest. Ritualize your visualization every morning, every night. Do it upon waking and before sleeping. Your mind must be a constant incense burner of visualized wealth. And fourth, with detachment. Here's where seekers fail because they desire so much that they smother the image. Because they need so much that they sabotage the flow. Detachment is not indifference, it's mastery. It's knowing that what you've imprinted will arrive because that's how the law works. The astral bank doesn't operate on begging, it operates with structure. The trained mind is the deadliest tool in the universe. With it, civilizations are created. With it, money, opportunities, allies, contracts, and the miracles that others speak of are called. But for the initiate, there are no miracles. There are hidden laws executed with the precision of an alchemist. This is why from now on you must guard your astral bank as a sacred temple. Don't let in parasitic thoughts. Don't sign decrees of fear. Don't tolerate images borrowed from the herd. Your mind is not common ground. It is a sanctuary. It is a factory of wealth, a sacred machine. And what happens when you begin to imprint wealth with full consciousness? The inevitable happens. The world responds. Not immediately, not always as you expect, but always faithfully. Opportunities arise, money flows, doors open, figures grow. Not because you deserve it, not because you asked for it, but because you sealed it, because you imprinted it in your astral bank, because you signed it with fire. And then when you see that deposit manifested, don't say thank you. Say, I commanded it. Don't look to the sky, look to the mirror, because the gold you now hold was first a spark in your inner temple, and you were its architect. The mind is the cradle of all wealth. And you, if you awaken, if you decide, if you ritualize, will no longer be a pawn in the game. You will be the issuer of the secret coin of the new eon. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 9, the Holy Guardian Angel and Gold. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Gold without direction turns to poison. Money without purpose transmutes into shadow, and wealth, if it is not consecrated to the highest fire of your being, will ultimately devour you, like Saturn devours his children. I, who have descended to the abyss and returned with the tablets rewritten, declare this to you with the authority of one who has seen the face of the Holy Guardian Angel. Not all money serves the will. There are fortunes that curse. There are numbers that close. There are successes that divert. For gold, when it is not the servant of the angel, becomes the master of the ego. And the ego, without guidance, is the most fertile ground for self-destruction. Who is this angel I speak of? It is not an external being. It is not a spirit with wings, nor a celestial voice hidden in the heavens. It is your eternal core. It is your word before incarnation. It is your will with no face. It is your highest destiny, your undistorted purpose, your incorruptible self. It is that which has not been contaminated by dogmas, by traumas, by inherited names. It is what you truly are when there is no fear, no history, no name. And if this angel is your true king, then the gold that does not serve it is stolen gold, even if you earned it honestly. For every coin that does not obey the angel is tainted with the vibration of your shadow. Every bill not consecrated to the higher purpose is a chain, not a key. You have been taught that having money is enough, that success justifies, that abundance is a sign of virtue. They lied to you. The universe does not reward accumulation, it rewards alignment. And if gold reaches your hands but not your soul, you will soon discover that you are a slave to what you think you possess. I have seen men build empires without spiritual direction. I have seen queens with full palaces and empty hearts. I have walked among magnates who control cities but tremble before their own reflection. For without the angel, all gold turns to ash. Gold is a mirror, and if you are not clean, it reflects your deformity. Ask yourself this, reader, who still breathes, to whom does your money serve? To your blind desire, or to your embodied purpose? To the fear that seeks security, or to the will that demands expansion? To your ego, which seeks to prove itself, or to the angel who simply wishes to be? The ego accumulates, the angel manifests. The ego buys out of anxiety. The angel invests with vision. The ego boasts, the angel emanates, and gold knows this. Gold distinguishes. Gold faithfully obeys the one who consecrates it to the temple of true being, but it rebels, decays, and escapes when it is caught by hands that do not yet know whom they serve. Money, when it is under the command of the angel, becomes clear, light, fertile. It creates without fear, it multiplies without effort. It serves as a loyal servant, a squire to purpose. It does not intoxicate, it does not divide, it does not isolate, because its flow is governed by the unquenchable flame of I am. But when subordinated to the ego, oh, what a grotesque spectacle. Addiction, paranoia, conflict, ruin, not always external, but certainly internal. A poverty disguised as luxury, a mental beggary dressed in jewels. The ego may have millions and still fear losing them. The ego may sign contracts and never rest, for the ego never satisfies, never enough, never at peace. And gold, which amplifies whatever it touches, multiplies that anxiety until the soul breaks. That is why I tell you, do not fear gold. Fear gold without the angel, for that gold will be your judge. Do not accumulate without consecrating. Do not collect without intention. Do not invest without spiritual direction. Do not give without fire, and do not receive without asking yourself, does this serve my true will, or feed a desire that is not me? You can have wealth, you can live in mansions, travel in fire, dress like a king, but all that must be an emblem of your communion with the angel, not a trophy of your disconnection. For the angel does not want you poor, it wants you sovereign. The angel does not demand useless sacrifices, it demands coherence. And when money serves the angel, it becomes an extension of your word. One more word of your embodied prayer, a sacred act, a sword of light that cuts through matter in favor of spirit. From now on, every time you use money, do so as one who lights a candle in the temple of their destiny. Every transaction a prayer, every income a hymn, every expense an offering. And if you cannot do this, stop, for you are operating outside the altar, and there all gold turns to shadow. Gold is a test. Gold is a mirror. Gold is a sword. It does not destroy you, it reveals you. And you, if you have sealed your pact with the angel, will no longer fear its blade. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 10, the Gospel of the Rich initiates. Do your will, and it will be the law. Do not confuse the merchant with the alchemist. Do not confuse the millionaire with the initiate. Not every rich person is wise, but every initiate who vibrates in gold has sealed their wealth with divine fire. For true gold is not accumulation, it is vibration. It is not circumstance, it is consequence. It is not a reward. It is a reflection of the throne the soul built in silence. This chapter, burning reader, is not a teaching, it is a revelation. It is not written for those who seek quick fixes, nor for the beggars who chant affirmations like hollow litanies. It is for those who have descended to the core of their being and returned with the invisible crown upon their brow. It is for those who have remembered their divine heritage and sealed it, not with diplomas, but with presence. This is the unwritten gospel of the rich initiates, the silent law of true sovereigns. The rich initiates do not seek wealth, they emanate it. They do not work for money, they work with fire. They do not struggle to attract, they spin like suns, everything orbits around them. And how do they achieve this? Because they understood the key. Wealth is sustained vibration with absolute coherence. There is no luck, no chance, no external divine intervention, only law, only mirror, only resonance. They do not ask if something is possible, they ask, am I vibrating it with purity? For if it does not manifest, there is still interference, and if it does manifest, they are not surprised. They already knew. This is the sacred law that the vulgar world will never understand, the law that no institutional religion proclaims, because it frees too much. Gold is not found. It is remembered, because you were gold before you were flesh. You already vibrated in royalty before you learned to beg. The initiate does not build their wealth from scratch. They unlock it, they unearth it, they deprogram it from the ruins of inherited morality, of learned obedience, of the subtle chains of "it is not for you." And what do the rich initiates do? They do not teach, they do not preach, they emanate. Every gesture they make is a decree. Every word is a sigil. Every silence is a spell. They do not need to convince, because gold serves them like a loyal dog. The entire universe bends before the presence of one who no longer doubts. They have sealed their gold with fire. Not the fire of desperate effort, but the fire of purpose. They no longer work. They work with ritual direction. They know that every coin that enters is a fragment of condensed will, and every coin that leaves is a sacrifice to expansion. They do not fear loss, for they are not attached to form. Gold may change bodies, but its vibration remains. The bank may collapse, but their inner temple is unshakable, because what they hold is not a number but a state, and that state is their truth. You who read this, can you say the same, or do you still place your faith in the number? Does your body still tremble when you look at your account? Do you still judge your worth by what you see and not by who you are? The rich initiate is not measured by their possessions, they are measured by their throne. An invisible throne, yes, but more real than any palace. A throne that needs no witnesses, no ornaments, no social validation. The world may call them mad, arrogant, heretical, but they know, and that is enough, for certainty is the new lion's faith. For knowing replaces believing, for the I am replaces the I hope. External wealth is merely the echo, the symptom, the shadow projected by internal gold. That is why the initiate does not get distracted by what they have. They focus on what they hold. They do not ask how to attract more, they ask, can I hold more without betraying myself? And that is the measure. The world offers riches to all, but only the initiates preserve them without losing their soul. Because the soul has been forged before receiving, because the ego has already been crucified, because desire has been purified by the angel. The gospel of the rich initiates is not written on paper. It is engraved in their actions, in investments without fear, in renunciations without guilt, in decisions without permission. Every gesture is alchemy, every transaction a consecration, every business deal an extension of their inner temple. They do not wait for approval, they do not beg for luck, they do not share their fire with the lukewarm. They exist like the sun, and the world warms in their wake. And you, who have made it this far, are you ready to stop being a spectator? Are you ready to abandon prayers and start issuing decrees? Are you prepared to remember that you were already gold before seeking it? For this gospel is not taught, it is embodied. And if you embody it, gold will be inevitable, not by punishment, not by reward, but by law. Do your will and it will be the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 11. The curse of the poor in spirit, do your will and that shall be the whole law. There is no plague more perverse than the one disguised as virtue. There is no prison more effective than the one built with sweet words and holy names. Poverty, when it is a circumstance, can be transmuted. But when it is pride, when it is dogma, when it is identity, it becomes a curse, a vibrational condemnation, a betrayal of the angel. And you, yes, you who read with pupils stained by doctrine and eardrums still infected by the hymns of martyrs, listen and tremble. Poverty is not spirituality. It is castration disguised as faith. There is no glory in scarcity, no wisdom in misery. There is no virtue in denying what the universe offers. The soul did not come to the earth to beg. It came to manifest. It came to govern. It came to become a channel for divine gold. And everyone who, in the name of humility, preaches the renunciation of abundance is an enemy of will. The poor in spirit are not those who have nothing. They are those who dare not desire. They are the ones who have been indoctrinated by temples, parents, schools, and creeds to see gold as sin, pleasure as weakness, and power as corruption. They have embraced the lie of the impotent, that desiring is dirty, that having is dangerous, that enjoying is selfish. And because they dare not expand, they preach that shrinking is noble. They glorify their misery, pat themselves on the back for resisting the call to greatness. They boast of needing nothing when in truth they cannot bear to desire, for to desire is to dare, to desire is to remember that one can. And they have preferred to forget. I will tell you plainly, without metaphor, sustained scarcity by moral codes is a spiritual illness. There is no fire in the soul that renounces out of fear. There is no light in the voice that preaches sacrifice as an end in itself. Poverty, when it is a conscious choice, can be a path to power, but when it is a cultural mandate, it is a shackle. It is a spell. It is a corrupted code. And that is the curse. The poor in spirit do not seek liberation, they seek approval. They do not wish to expand, they wish to be approved by the others who are chained. And if you, reader, have ever felt guilt for prospering, for enjoying, for manifesting your gold, then the curse has already touched your forehead. Who wrote it? The weak, the resentful, the priests of the no, the evangelists of resignation, the castrated fathers, the soulless teachers, all of them conspired, not with conscious intention, but with sick vibration to program you against your throne, and you accepted it. Perhaps you still hold it. It is better to be poor and honest, they said. Money changes people, they murmured. God does not want you to fill yourself with things. They prayed lies, lies, lies. And do you know why they said it? Because gold did not obey them. Because their fire was so weak that they preferred to extinguish the fire of others rather than feed their own. The beast speaks to you now. Gold does not corrupt. Gold reveals. If you have trash in your soul, it will become visible when the gold arrives. But if you have a throne, gold will consecrate it. Gold is a mirror. It does not invent, it reflects, it does not distort, it amplifies. You were not born to hide your shine, you were born to illuminate with it. And if your gold is part of that shine, who made you believe that hiding it was noble? Destroy. Yes, destroy without mercy all the dogmas that link scarcity with holiness. Damn those books that teach that having less is wanting less. Spit on the altars where it is preached that automatic renunciation is virtue. Renunciation is only closed when it is a choice, not when it is an obligation. Scarcity is only worthy when it is a bridge, not when it is a prison. The morality of the poor in spirit does not want your soul, it wants your submission. Because the slave who has no gold cannot buy freedom, and the slave without freedom is easier to shepherd. That is why the system, no matter how modern it dresses itself, continues to preach the same old poison. Don't expand too much, don't shine too brightly, don't be ambitious, don't be visible, don't be great. I command you, be gold. Be a throne, be a temple with columns of bills and ceilings of purpose. Make your wealth a blasphemy against those who have settled. For in this era, the martyr saves us. The martyr rots and you have come to rule, not to beg. Do not apologize for your ambition. Do not hide your desire. Do not lie about your intentions. Be transparent, be brutal, be expansive. And if the world calls you a robber, smile. Because what hurts them is not your gold. It is their cowardice in front of the mirror that you are. Act now. Visualize every inherited belief that made you doubt your right to abundance. Every phrase you accepted, every invisible vow you made. Break them with fire. Shout them within you. I do not belong to them. I am gold incarnate. I am will manifested. I am a temple that does not kneel. And when you do, you will feel a shock, a crack, a rupture in the code, because the curse only operates where there is silence. And you just roared. Do your will, and that shall be the whole law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 12. Gold does not forgive the weak. Do your will, and it shall be the whole of the law. Gold is fire, and fire, if not governed, consumes you. The initiate who has not completed their forge, who has not sealed their will with inner blood, who still trembles before the reflection of their shadow, must fear gold. Not because gold is cursed, gold has no morality, intention, or judgment, but because it is a pure mirror, a sword without a sheath, a force that amplifies without compassion. Gold does not distinguish between the wise and the foolish, only between master and slave. And if you are not ready to rule it, it will rule you. I have seen it. I have watched from the columns of the inner temple the ruin of those who received gold too soon. Not by the universe's mistake, but by vibrational law. Wealth, when it falls into unprepared hands, does not bless. It tests. And when the soul has not aligned with its word, when the will is still soft like flesh without flame, then gold does not stay. It attacks. The weak man believes that having money is enough. He believes that the number will set him free, that possession will make him valuable, that opulence will hide his spiritual orphanhood. But gold, merciless, rips away the mask, multiplies doubt, intensifies fear, returns in decibels what was once whispered in silence. Do not confuse prosperity with blessing. Do not confuse wealth with wisdom. Gold does not reward, it reveals. And if you have not been purified, not with holy water, but with burning decisions, then all that gold will give you will become chains. Do you think I exaggerate? Observe the wretched rich, the sleepless millionaire, the collector of pleasures who enjoys none, the addict to his own empire. Gold gave them what they asked for, but not what they needed. It gave them form without soul, volume without direction, magnitude without purpose, because they did not tell gold, "You serve me." They never forged their inner throne before building their outer castles. And you, reader, if you are here, it is not to repeat their mistake. You must remember, gold is a test, not an end, not a trophy, not a reward. It is the objective manifestation of your inner vibration. If you are whole, gold follows you. If you are fragmented, gold divides you. Because gold does not heal, it reflects. It does not instruct, it accelerates. It does not transform, it powers up what already is. That is why the initiate works on themselves first, not because wealth is wrong, but because they want to hold it without being possessed by it. They don't want to receive before knowing how to command. They don't want to vibrate in abundance without first decapitating their inner beggar, because they know, as every alchemist who has burned their lead knows, that gold does not tolerate lukewarmness. And what does this mean? It means that if there is guilt in your desire, gold will make it unbearable. If there is fear in your ambition, gold will paralyze it. If there is something unredeemed in your expansion, gold will make it an empire of shadows. Gold without inner mastery is a curse with perfume. It gives you what you thought you wanted to destroy what you are, not as punishment, but as law. Because matter does not tolerate incoherence without collapse. Because wealth that does not come from the center collapses at the edges. Gold is the magnifying glass of the gods, the inheritance of kings, the final arcana of wizards who no longer deceive themselves. That is why I, who have traversed the inner halls of the abyss and emerged with my name intact, command you. Do not invoke it if you are not willing to sustain it. Do not seek it if you still wish to hide. Do not ask for it if you have not yet declared who you are, because gold does not come to give you security. It comes to demand your presence. It does not come to calm your anxiety. It comes to ignite your purpose. It does not come to heal you. It comes to see if it already has. When it arrives, and if you follow this book, it will not be silent. Gold brings visions, trials, decisions that burn. It will make you choose between loyalty and comfort, between expansion and addiction, between purpose and distraction. It will face you with your lineage, your learned morality, your invisible vows of poverty, your ancestral fear of being yourself without asking for forgiveness. And if you are not ready, you will lose it. Or worse, you will have it and lose yourself. That is why the true adept prepares. They do not accumulate gold without first igniting their throne. They do not desire abundance without first sacrificing their mask. They do not allow themselves to receive what they cannot yet govern. Gold is an impeccable servant, but a brutal master. Are you willing to become someone who can command it to be king, not the beggar disguised as a millionaire? Not only to have wealth, but to be wealth. Then work on your fire, not your bank account. Your coherence, not your income. Your vibrational structure, not your public image. Your secret altar. Gold does not forgive the weak, but it kneels before the strong. Not the physically strong, nor the strong of words, but the strong of soul. And that, reader, could be you. Do your will, and it shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Chapter 13, Golden Invocations. Do what you will shall be the whole of the law. The universe was created by the word, not by stone or time. By the spoken verb, cast into the void like thunder of sovereignty. By the voice that neither asks nor begs, but decrees. Every form is the echo of a verb. Every visible gold is the mineral reflection of a forgotten spell. And you, who have read up to this point, have been prepared to remember your verb, no longer to pray, no longer to beg, no longer to repeat empty affirmations like a trained bird, but to speak as a God awakened in their inner temple. This chapter is a phonetic altar, a living anthology of formulas that do not describe wealth but provoke it. They are not metaphors, they are soul spells in command. Words that, when spoken from the center of the throne, make the hidden seals of the universe tremble. Not because they are positive, but because they are true. Not because they sound good, but because they emanate from certainty. Gold does not respond to desire. It responds to the verb, not to the whisper of fear, but to the roar of one who already knows they are worthy. Every authentic spell begins from one root, I am. That is the secret name of the God within you, and every time you speak from that center, matter organizes, paths open, and gold, that arcane servant, bows. But be warned, not every word is an invocation. Not every I am has fire. Words without substance are frost. Memorized phrases without fire are corpses. Prayers born from need do not create, they beg. To invoke gold, your verb must be made of three things: presence, not repeating, but being what is said; fire, not adorning, but igniting; direction, not wishing, but commanding with purpose. A golden invocation is a ritualized verb. It does not need incense or bells, although it can use them if they are aligned. It does not need a physical altar, although the body can become one. It does not need a sacred language. Your tongue is already sacred if it is governed by will. Here I give you formulas, not to copy them like a spiritual parrot, but to use them as keys. Keys that, when spoken from the core, open the same threshold through which gold descends as mineralized fire. I am the gold incarnate. Where I breathe, money follows me. My word is law over matter. My desire is order. My will is decree. The universe obeys me because my verb burns. Say this not as one playing, but as one calling the army of the sleeping gods. I do not ask, I shake. I do not desire, I decree. Gold is my mirror, and as my soul burns without contradiction, gold flows without restriction. Feel each word vibrate in your flesh, not as poetry, but as a seal, not as a pretty phrase, but as a universal command. Every time you speak, remember that you speak from an altar. Your tongue is not made to negotiate with the world, but to redesign it. Do not say, I need money. Say, my wealth manifests because I am a channel of pure power. Do not say, I hope the opportunity arrives. Say, my path opens because I walk with certainty. Do not say, someday I will have. Say, gold is in me now because I am the one who invokes it. And if you pronounce this without fear, without shame, without the infected echo of poor-spirited dogmas, then you will feel the tremor in the air, in your skin, in the very structure of the reality surrounding you. For true invocations do that. They tear the veil, they reprogram the matrix. They break the structures that no longer reflect you. You are the lion's throat, the larynx of the solar verb, the sacred instrument with which the universe remakes itself. And if you still doubt, it is because you have not remembered your true name. But this chapter is the rite of fire. Pronounce it now where you are as the final sacrament. I am the conscious channel of gold. I do not fear my power. I do not hide my fire. My voice does not beg, it manifests. And every word of mine is a vibratory contract that the universe fulfills, because there is no longer distance between what I say and what I am. This is the verb that opens the temple, and the temple is you. Speak not as if you are asking for permission. Speak as if the universe is your reflection, because it is. Because when gold hears your aligned voice, it can no longer hide. It will come as a river, as an offering, as a signature, as an empire, not by magic, but by embodied verb. Do what you will shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.